আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আহ, আমাদের ওয়ার্কশপটা 10টার সময় স্টার্ট হচ্ছে, কাইন্ডলি একটু সবাই সাথে থাকবেন। দেখতে পাচ্ছি কয়েকজন জয়েন করেছেন, তাই একটু সময় দিয়ে সাথে থাকবেন আমাদের সাথে। থ্যাংক ইউ। থ্যাংকস এভরিওয়ান আমাদের সাথে জয়েন করার জন্য। কাইন্ডলি আ কিছুক্ষণ সময় দিয়ে সাথে থাকবেন। আমরা একটু সময় নিচ্ছি যাতে অন্যরাও জয়েন করতে পারে। অ্যান্ড আমরা 15 মিনিটস এর মধ্যে আমরা স্টার্ট করতে যাচ্ছি। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Asif and Hasib, is there someone is starting the event? Guys, who is going to start the today's webinar? Is it Hasib or Asif?
থ্যাংকস এভরিওয়ান আমাদের সাথে জয়েন করার জন্য। থ্যাংক ইউ
দেখতে পাচ্ছি।
থ্যাংক ইউ হাসিব ভাই কনফার্মেশনটি দেওয়ার জন্য অ্যান্ড থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার আমাদের সাথে জয়েন করার জন্য অ্যান্ড আমাদের সকল প্রেজেন্টারকেও আমরা থ্যাংকস জানাচ্ছি জয়েন করার জন্য অ্যান্ড সকল পার্টিসিপেন্টদেরকেও আমরা ধন্যবাদ জানিয়ে আজকের ওয়েবিনার আমরা স্টার্ট করতে যাচ্ছি। মূলত ফার্স্ট অফ অল আজকে আমাদের এই ওয়েবিনারে আমি হচ্ছে আমাদের কোম্পানি ওভারভিউ সম্পর্কে বলছি অ্যান্ড আফটার দ্যাট আমাদের যে রেগুলার ওয়ার্কশপটা স্টার্ট হতে যাচ্ছে। সো আপনারা অনেকেই অ্যাসপারটেক সম্পর্কে অলরেডি আমাদের সম্পর্কে জানেন অ্যান্ড আমাদের অ্যাসপারটেক সম্পর্কে আপনাদের অনেকেরই আইডিয়া আছে। আপনারা আমাদের ডিফারেন্ট ওয়ার্কশপে জয়েন করছেন। তো আমি শর্টলি আসলে আমাদের কোম্পানি ওভারভিউটা দিয়ে স্টার্ট করছি অ্যান্ড আফটার দ্যাট আমাদের মূল সেশনটা স্টার্ট হবে। অ্যাসপারটেক মূলত হচ্ছে আমরা একটা সাইবার সিকিউরিটি অ্যান্ড ক্লাউড সার্ভিস কোম্পানি ইউএস বেস। আমাদের মূল যে কোম্পানিটা আমাদের অর্গানাইজেশনের মেইন হেড অফিসটা হচ্ছে ইউএসএ তে অ্যান্ড আমরা 50 প্লাস সাইবার সিকিউরিটি প্রজেক্ট নিয়ে লাস্ট 12 ইয়ার ধরে আমরা কাজ করছি অ্যান্ড আমাদের এখানে আসলে আমাদের 2016 হচ্ছে আমরা অ্যাসপারটেক আমাদের যাত্রাটা হচ্ছে সক সেন্টারের যাত্রাটা শুরু করি অ্যান্ড আমাদের 2016 এ প্রথম সক সেন্টারটা করা হয়েছিল পল্টনে অ্যান্ড আফটার দ্যাট 2020 তে আমরা হচ্ছে বঙ্গবন্ধু হাইটেক পার্ক কালিয়াকুড়ে হচ্ছে আমাদের সক সেন্টারটা নিয়ে আসি। অ্যান্ড আপনারা জেনে খুশি হবেন যে আমাদের এখানে সক সেন্টার ভিজিটেরও আয়োজন করা হয়েছে। আমরা ডিফারেন্ট অর্গানাইজেশনের জন্য ডিফারেন্ট টাইমে এই অপরচুনিটিটা রেখেছি অ্যান্ড আমাদের এখানে এই এই সকের পাশাপাশি আমরা লাস্ট 5 ইয়ার্স এ আমরা 40 প্লাস ওয়ার্কশপ অ্যান্ড 200 প্লাস হচ্ছে প্রেজেন্টেশন আমরা অ্যারেঞ্জ করেছি অ্যান্ড আমরা হচ্ছে বিভিন্ন গভর্নমেন্ট ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল অর্গানাইজেশন অ্যান্ড আদার্স অর্গানাইজেশনের সাথে কাজ করছি। আমরা এখানে আমাদের এই পার্টনার্স গুলো দেখতে পাচ্ছি। আমরা 200 প্লাস হচ্ছে আমাদের পার্টনার্স রয়েছে। সো আমরা আহ, আমাদের 200 প্লাস পার্টনার্স রয়েছে। আমরা এখানে আমাদের পার্টনার্স গুলো দেখতে পাচ্ছি। আমাদের পার্টনার্স এর মধ্যে IBM, Splunk, Curator, আর Rapid7 থেকে আরো অনেক পার্টনার রয়েছে, সার্চ ইনফো এন্ড আরো অনেকে রয়েছে। আমাদের এর আহ, বিভিন্ন কান্ট্রি থেকে সাবজেক্ট ম্যাটার এক্সপার্টরা রয়েছেন, সক অ্যানালিস্ট এন্ড আদার্স। এখানে ইউএসএ থেকে, জার্মানি থেকে, কানাডা থেকে, অস্ট্রেলিয়া থেকে আমাদের সাবজেক্ট ম্যাটার এক্সপার্টরা রয়েছেন। আমাদের এর প্রফেশনালসরা বিভিন্ন সার্টিফিকেশনে সার্টিফাইড লাইক সিসো, সিসা, সিজম, CISSP and others সার্টিফিকেশনে তারা সার্টিফাইড অ্যান্ড আমাদের এখানে 25 প্লাস এক্সপিরিয়েন্স রয়েছে সাবজেক্ট ম্যাটার এক্সপার্ট যারা রয়েছেন। আমরা যে প্রোডাক্ট গুলো নিয়ে কাজ করছি সেগুলোর মধ্যে রয়েছে সিকিউরিটি অ্যাওয়ারনেস পোর্টাল অ্যাসপায়ার নিজস্ব যেগুলো প্রোডাক্ট, সিকিউরিটি অ্যাওয়ারনেস পোর্টাল অ্যাসপায়ার GRC, অ্যাসপায়ার SIM, অ্যাসপায়ার ফিশিং সিমুলেটর, অ্যাসপায়ার সাইবার সিকিউরিটি হেলথ চেক টুল, ডিজিটাল ইনভেস্টিগেশন প্ল্যাটফর্ম অ্যান্ড আরো আসলে আমরা ডিফারেন্ট প্রোডাক্ট নিয়ে অ্যান্ড সার্ভিস নিয়ে কাজ করছি। এছাড়া আমাদের যে 200 প্লাস পার্টনার বা ভেন্ডর রয়েছে তাদের প্রোডাক্ট নিয়েও আসলে আমরা অ্যাসপায়ারে কাজ করি। আসলে মূলত আজকের ওভারভিউটা শর্টলি দেওয়ার একটা রিজন যে আমরা মেইন সেশনে আসলে আমরা আহ, যেতে চাচ্ছি অ্যান্ড বিফোর দ্যাট আমরা হচ্ছে আজকের যে ওয়ার্কশপটা রয়েছে মডার্নাইজ সিকিউরিটি অপারেশনস ফ্রম এন্ড পয়েন্ট টু ক্লাউড এলাস্টিক সার্চের সাথে। সো আমরা এই সেশনে আমরা আজকে যে টপিক গুলো দেখতে পাবো এরপরে আমাদের সাথে হচ্ছে আমাদের যে ইন্টারন্যাশনাল স্পিকাররা রয়েছেন তাদের সেশন গুলো থাকছে। এখানে কিউএ সেশন থেকে আমরা অনেক ইন্টারেস্টিং সেশন গুলো পাচ্ছি। সো আপনাদের সবাইকে আমরা উম, স্বাগতম জানাচ্ছি আজকের ওয়েবিনারে অ্যান্ড আমি হাসিব ভাইকে রিকোয়েস্ট করব যে আমাদের যে নেক্সট স্পিকার রয়েছে তার সাথে কাইন্ডলি যদি একটু ইন্ট্রোডিউস করিয়ে দিতেন অ্যান্ড তাহলে হচ্ছে আমরা আমাদের রেগুলার সেশন গুলোতে চলে যেতাম। অ্যান্ড আপনারা সবাইকে হচ্ছে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ আমাদের সাথে থাকার জন্য এন্ড আমরা আশা করব আপনারা শেষ পর্যন্ত আমাদের সাথে থাকবেন এন্ড আজকের ওয়েবিনারটাকে আসলে আমরা ফলপ্রসূ করে তুলতে পারবো। থ্যাংক ইউ এভরিওয়ান।
থ্যাংক ইউ আসিফ ভাই। আসিফ ভাই, আপনি কি আমাকে শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
জি জি ভাই, আমি ক্লিয়ারলি শুনতে
Okay,
পাচ্ছি।
sure. Now I would like to request to give a short overview about Elastic India. He is Mr. Neeraj Bhatia. He is Area Vice President at Elastic India and South Asia. He basically spreading the sales for India and South Asia. Neeraj Bhatia basically serves the Area Vice President for Elastic India and South Asia. In his current role, Neeraj is responsible to enable digital transformation through speed, scale, relevance, and simplicity in the search power solution through collaboration with the ecosystem of technology and services partner for the enterprise. Neeraj has also successfully lead the partners, alliance, and commercial business in the region for Red Hat. He is experienced in identifying partners, influences, sales strategy for technology products, and he is basically building long-term alliances and solution-led sales campaigns. And Neeraj basically has successfully developed and executed partner strategies and programs that exceed sales objective with mutual differentiation, market acceleration, partner loyalty, client value, and shared financial success. So now I would like to introduce our next presenter, Mr. Neeraj Bhatia, to give a short overview about Elastic India.
Hello, Shuprabhat to
Hi
everybody.
Neeraj, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm fine.
Thanks to Aspire Tech for arranging this session today, and thanks for to all the esteemed customers and users that who have all dialed in. Me and my team will make sure that we get you across what the technology is capable of, and discuss and share how we can work with Aspire Tech and bring more value to you in this world of digital transformation and pandemic, and so many other trends that are continuously changing. I'll just take a quick 5-minute intro to what Elastic is, our presence in the region, and a little bit about the company as I've been introduced. So let's get to the next slide. Thanks. There is a lag at my end. So again, today's world is ever evolving and changing, and the big impact that is the big trend that is kind of happening for the last few years, and I think will continue, is that everything, every organization, every person, every device is getting digitally connected, right? And what does that mean? That basically means that our lives, our businesses, our functions, our country, government, everything is going through a transformation, and that transformation will be continuous. It will be omnipresent. It will create many new challenges. It will create a lot of data. It will create a lot of complexity, and it will also give us a lot of benefits, right? In the end, it's all making our lives easier, businesses faster, more economical, and more user friendly, so that our customers, which is basically all of us, can get benefits from this transformation. This is also increasing everybody's expectations from technology. Many businesses that were really not technology dependent now are out of business. So everybody, if you see, years back, we had a camera company or a picture company called Kodak, right? There were so many different taxi companies, there were so many different courier companies. All of those organizations that were not able to get to the trend of digital transformation have really moved out of the business, and that's what is the tough part of surviving today. Going forward to the next slide.
Yep, Neeraj, this is the right one.
Yeah, sorry, there is a lag at my end for some reason today. Again, digital. Again, so what all of the digital transformation is doing is that it's creating a lot of content, right? It's creating content not just for individuals, for businesses, for components of our IT, for everything that is touching the digital highway that's getting built across the world, right? And with that, the most critical part is when we have so much of data being created, finding the relevant content at scale is becoming that much more difficult, right? If you really want to, if you when you get up and you want to figure something out from this world, you start with search, right? And that is the very basis of you trying to discover what's happening around you. If there is a problem, how to find a solution to it, and many more such applications, right? And this content is not just within our laptop or desktop or mobile phone or within our organization. It's on websites, it's in multiple applications, it's across different paradigms of productivity, tools and technologies that we have spread all across us. The other challenge is the enterprise landscape is becoming that much more complex, right? Earlier, many of you would know the kind of laptops that we use today. They are more powerful than servers of 10 years back or 20 years back. In some cases, our mobile phones are more powerful with versus the computers that were there 15, 20 years back when the first Windows was launched. The number of device explosion that has happened inside the data center, the multiple applications interacting with each other, both internally and externally, is throwing up a lot of data. And to manage this complexity in IT, we need to be able to, again, make that data relevant, searchable, and available for various technology users to be able to make sense of it or get the best out of the data that we have. Again, as this is so critical, that's also being poached, right? So cyber threats are becoming that much more sophisticated, and every organization is having to deal with cyber threats because they want to make sure that the data they have about their business, their customers, their growth, their markets is contained, is managed, and is secure, right? We cannot have our data, which is the most critical component of our business today, being exposed to cyber threats. So when you put all of these three challenges together, moving to the next slide, Nimesh. When you put all of these disparate challenges together, right, the one common thread that I spoke of is data. And clearly, the good news is that all of these, if we have a technology that can manage your data across these multiple paradigms and be able to make it searchable and make it relevant, right, that is what is something that, is going to make our life that much more simpler. Just to give you an example of the, of the data size that we have today, on the next slide. So again, we were discussing this yesterday. Today we talk in petabytes, but it's expected by 2025, the world will start generating 480 exabytes of data daily. It is just huge, unimaginable. And again, all of this data is not unique, right? There is lots and lots of common data that's being shared and stored in multiple silos within our organizations across the world. Many insights and inputs that are already available, and the data doesn't need to be, at least within the organization, restored and stored or re-managed. But that much more complexity that comes with a whole lot of data that comes in. And this is where, onto the next slide, Nimesh. Thanks. This is where comes Elastic. Elastic basically helps organizations across the world accelerate results that matter by putting data to work with the power of search. All of us, I've been speaking about data. I'm sure you all are addressing these problems in your businesses, but getting data, securing it and storing it is not what we really want to do. We are not, our businesses won't benefit from it. We need to be able to get the best of what we have inside the organization, put the data to work. And at Elastic, we believe the best way to put it to work is through the power of search. Right, so the vision that we have at Elastic is that in a world where endless data creates endless possibilities, search helps people and organizations thrive. So with that, let me introduce the company. We were founded in 2012, over 2,600 employees. We are present in 40 plus countries, about 18,000 live subscriptions, and 54% of the top Fortune 500 companies trust Elastic. That said, let me also say that we also have a community version, right? ELK, and that is probably omnipresent. I want to be optimistic and say that over 80% of the organizations in the world today use Elastic, either paid or unpaid, through the community, right? And this is the team that is going to be supporting Bangladesh and managing SARC. We have, as you can see, sales. We are putting in a lot of investment in pre-sales and solution architects who, Animesh heads that BU for us, who will talk to you, who will, understand your business problems and see how Elastic can best address and solve it. Noshin, who's also present in the call today, is our partner manager. So she will work with Aspire Tech and make sure that Aspire Tech is trained and authorized in your market to work with Elastic and with you to get the best of the solutions enabled for you. Again, not a big team, but yes, we are growing, and we really hope to be in Bangladesh over the next 90 days and meet many of you in person. Thank you. And with that, I would like to hand it over to Noshin to take the presentation forward.
Thank you so much, Mr. Niraj, for introducing Elasticsearch with us. And now we are going to next session. So I will request Mr. Hasbul Hassan Hasib to introduce our next speaker for the session.
Thank you, Mr. Asif. Now I would like to request our next presenter, Ms. Nausin Khan, to present and have some QA session with our audience. So Nausin Khan is basically manage the challenge and alliances across partners segments in India and SARC. Her primary focus is to enable and support customers through the creation of a robust partner ecosystem. So she is basically senior manager in Elastic India. So now I would like to request her to have a some short quick session, QA session with our audience. Thank you, Noshin.
Thank you. Hi, good morning. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'm Noshin Khan, and as Hasibul just mentioned, I manage the channels and alliances in the SARC region. We'll get to the Q&A, and I think we can have those collated as we progress to the session, and we'll address them as we proceed. For the session that I'm talking about, basically Bangladesh as a country is strategic to our business, and as Neeraj mentioned, Aspire Tech, with whom we are collaborating for this webinar, is one of our key partners in the region. And together we hope to be able to work closely with customers like yourself in the country. And speaking of customers, we thought we'd lead with a session where we talk about few of our popular success stories from across the globe. Next slide, please. So here's a familiar interface. I'm sure everybody has used this app sometime or the other. That's Uber. And it is one of our oldest and largest customers. So when you search for a ride on Uber, Elastic is the engine that powers the marketplace that connects the drivers to the riders. Uber Marketplace is served by data from Elasticsearch, and it functions at a massive scale. It has got millions of users across hundreds of cities and dozens of countries. And in this case, the speed of retrieval of a response to the query that is raised is critical. It involves multiple factors, whether it is the location of the cab or the amount of time it would take for a cab to reach you, or even the type of cab that you're looking at, whether it's a Pool or an UberX. So the response to this has to be very immediate, and it is critical for the company's success. And this is powered by Elastic. So that's one of the most famous customers that we often talk about. Moving on, next slide, please. So here's another app. This one is Yelp. And this is similar to Food Panda that we often use. Another app which requires complex data modeling. Right? Customers search for a place with multiple factors. Location of the restaurant, the kind of reviews the place has, the kind of cuisine it offers, the kind of budget you might need to order from a place. So all of this search is powered again by Elastic. Moving on to the next slide. This is a list of some of our earliest and long-term customers, whether it's searching for cabs like I spoke about on Uber, food on Yelp, love on Tinder, groceries on Instacart, or visual assets on Adobe. All of this is powered by Elasticsearch, and many of our day-to-day experiences have Elastic, working at the back end. Even besides these day-to-day experiences, from a enterprise perspective, whether it's hunting and investigating threats at a bank like Barclays, that's also search. Detecting and resolving the operational issues using logs and metrics at a company like Sprint, that's search. Analyzing telemetry data from Mars rover like NASA does, that's search too. And the list of our customers just goes on. So if you look at the next slide, in conclusion, the Elasticsearch platform is the platform for enterprise search, observability, and security. And as you see here, it adds tremendous value across industries, geographies, and segments. Whether it's the tech companies or the financial companies, the telcos, healthcare, public sector, all of these segments have got customers that are using Elastic at a large scale, and they're using it to accelerate the results that actually matter. So this was just an overview of the kind of customers that we cater to and the segments. And I'll hand it over from here to Animesh to take it ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Naushin. It was a great session. Now I would like to introduce our next presenter, Mr. Animesh. Animesh has spent more than 2 decades in engineering and solution architecture related to SaaS platforms, networks, and telecom security and internet scale applications. Animesh is based out of New Delhi, India, and leads the solution architecture for emerging market across APJ and helps customer design and adopt the Elastic Stack in various ways. Now I would like to request our presenter Animesh to continue his technical session. Thank you, Mr. Animesh.
Sure. Thank you. I hope I'm audible.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about Elastic solutions. I think one of the key things about Elastic as a platform is that there are multiple use cases that we solve. And in the last 3 odd years, we have invested significantly in our security solutions. It just did not happen because one day we decided to do it. But what we saw that since Elastic was a community-led product, our community had started adopting Elastic to build security solutions. Now, what we did was we took that particular interest from the community and put our company behind it. And then what you see now is the product of that 3 years or more of hard work. We have acquired a few companies in this space as well. And then we are putting together the more solid security story. And you will hear about Elastic more and more as we go forward from here. Having said that, let me get started. I think we are talking today because obviously cybersecurity isn't easy. It's not that we install a SIM platform, we install a few firewalls, few IDS, IPS, and rock solid endpoint. Our cybersecurity is taken care of. It's not like that. I think there are certain metrics in this particular slide which have been collected from various industry collateral. For example, 70% of malware attack involves zero-day evasive malware. So that is something we cannot plan for. Then we've got 80% of companies who reported a cloud breach in the past 18 months. A lot of companies are moving to cloud, whether it is, say, cloud, like there are cloud native companies who are born in the cloud, who adopt the cloud very simply. But in the last 2 years of the pandemic, we have seen more and more traditional companies adopting to the cloud in a huge way. We have got financial services companies who are moving to the cloud. And when I say cloud, I mean the public cloud. Then the last is 49 security technologies are generally used in a typical enterprise, particularly in key verticals like FSI and public sector and what have you. We see that a lot of these companies or organizations, they get best of breed solutions and then put together a security practice based on that. Now, what that leads to is too many tools, obviously best of breed tools, but then there are just too many tools in use in the typical enterprise. Another thing that we have realized, or the world is realizing, that conventional solutions are not working anymore with respect to security. And why is it that happening? So for example, the first thing that we need with respect to security solutions is a visibility, right? So we've got so many data sources, or so many different devices which are doing some kind of security detection. So first thing we need is rock solid visibility. But then the conventional solutions which have evolved over the last decade or last 2 decades, the problem with those solutions is that they don't scale to handle that kind of data that we're talking about. Then we have got analytics. Are these solutions ML ready or AI ops ready or things like that? So the thing with not having enough machine learning is that traditional solutions cannot provide enough context to the problem statement. And then the next one is protection. How do we protect once we have the visibility, once we're able to analyze, how do we protect? Can we easily pivot? With conventional solutions, the problem is it takes too long for us to be able to deploy protection. So once we have analyzed or once we have figured out there is a particular issue, how soon that we can protect, that is just too long at the moment. And then again, the response. How do we automate tasks? Can we automate based on what we are seeing on the platform? Unfortunately, with conventional solutions, we can only automate a part of it. We cannot have like very complex workflows to deploy automation at scale. Now, what we need or what security teams need, I'm assuming that most of the people in who are attending this webinar are from a security background. They probably run SOC platforms, or they are SOC analysts, or they are part of security operations in some way. So I think there is a need to do certain things in a better way. For example, being able to prevent attacks, whether it is known attacks or unknown attacks, we should be able to protect that. Then again, pre-execution ransomware, or have other kinds of detections mapped with respect to MITRE techniques and tactics, whether it's like the simple threats or even advanced threats. The next phase is being able to detect, like obviously prevention comes later. First, we need to be able to detect, right? So we should have minimal false positives, minimal false negatives. We should be able to have enough context if we have got traffic, which is coming on our web servers, coming on our firewalls. We should be able to correlate them with enough context. So that is something that is very important. And thirdly, we should be able to respond very, very rapidly, right? So if we know that there is something which has happened, how do we go and hunt for that? How we are able to search for what has happened in the network? So that ad hoc correlation becomes very important. We need to also be able to do context gathering. And again, so once we are able to say search for information, we should also be able to take certain remote actions very, very quickly. What these problem statements have evolved to is a need for a unified platform. So that is the need of the day. It's not about having multiple different tool sets, but it is more about having a unified platform. So in today's status quo, if you talk about what most traditional enterprises have, we have got best of breed solutions, but that leads to data blind spots, data silos, and so on. The second problem that we have is data formatting. So we have got these tons of security devices which are generating all kinds of data, but they're in very different formats. So having to correlate between those data sets become very, very difficult if we do not have, say, out-of-the-box parsers or what have you. That's today's day. How do we go from there to have the next steps? So first is we need comprehensive visibility. We need a single place to store all the data. We need to be able to prepare the data to have a particular format. And we need to be able to have extended look back facilities. Then once we have the visibility, how do we analyze? We should be able to query, we should be able to pivot the data, and obviously do it at a particularly significant scale. I remember Neeraj talking about how in 2025 we're going to have data in exabytes. Today we talk in terabytes and petabytes, but then tomorrow when we are talking about exabytes, we need a platform which can scale to that kind of a volume of data. Then once we do analytics, how do we have protection, or how do we have automated protection? Number one is have pre-built protections, detection policies, which are mapped to a particular framework, in this case, MITRE. Then we should have a turnkey ransomware and malware prevention. We should have a central place to detect all of those. And obviously, with the security landscape, we need to make sure that there is enough threat intelligence, or we have the ability to match multiple threat intelligence and so on. And eventually, we should be able to respond to these threats. Once there is enough detection of threats, we should be able to have a streamlined response. We should have defined workflows. We should have informed investigations or have investigation guides as a part of the platform. And we should be able to automate via SOAR platforms or what have you. And thirdly, like we should have seamless host prevention. So to do all of that I talk about, we have the Elasticsearch platform. Like a lot of people know us by ELK, a lot of people know us by Elasticsearch, but what we are actually is a search platform. So that's what we call ourselves. We have multiple components in the stack. We have got Elasticsearch, which is a distributed data store or distributed NoSQL data store. The role of the distributed data store is to store all the data that gets into our platform. So if you see on the left side, you see a variety of data, whether it is structured data, unstructured data, data coming in from various endpoints, whether these are files or various system metrics or what have you. We should be able to take that in and put it into Elasticsearch. Now, how do we do that? We use a variety of integration tools or ingest tools. We've got, say, Logstash, which is very popularly known. We've got the Beats family. We've got Elastic Agent. We've got a variety of tools which can help get the data into Elasticsearch. And eventually, we've got Kibana. Kibana is our visualization and management framework or tool. So Kibana is stateless. What you see on Kibana, so the security views or the threat hunting workflow or whatever you see it on Kibana. So what Kibana does is in real time, it looks up Elasticsearch, pulls the data and displays it in a particular format that the user expects. And then again, we have been speaking about security, but there are three business areas that we primarily work with. We obviously have our security practice. We have got observability and we have got enterprise search. So enterprise search is something that we have been doing. So the company started as an enterprise search company, or the founder of our company, when Elastic was very small, wrote Elasticsearch, and that became very, very popular. And then eventually we moved from doing search solutions to observability and eventually security. When we talk about observability, a lot of these days there is a need for enhanced observability. Again, like there are observability tools or like variety of observability tools in the market, but the need for unification is there in the observability space as well. The other thing that we are seeing is people talking about Devsecops, right? So earlier it was DevOps and SecOps. There were two separate items. But we are seeing enterprises or even the need move from having separate DevOps and SecOps to DevSecops. So with Elastic, you have the two platforms available. We have got observability and security. So if you want to build a platform which combines both of that, then Elastic is a very, very right platform. Then again, we can be consumed in a variety of ways. We have our public cloud. Obviously, in financial services or in, say, large enterprises, consumption of public cloud in a security scenario might not be possible. So we have got an on-prem deployment model. So we've got a variety of software. We can have our traditional Tarball or RPM or, say, Windows installers, which can be deployed on virtual machines directly. But then we also have got orchestrators to orchestrate on Kubernetes or orchestrate on virtual machines. So those facilities are something that we provide as a part of our licenses. And if you have hybrid requirements like between public cloud and an on-prem deployment, that is something we can also do. So again, if you have questions, I think please put it into the Q&A box. We will address all those questions at the end, or we'll dedicate separate time to be able to do that. So for us as a company, we believe we are very well suited to solve the security needs for large organizations in financial services and others. For example, search. How do we effectively and quickly search for all the data that is coming into the platform and give a holistic visibility? Then again, what is search? Search reduces the time that it takes to avoid eventual damage. And then search also facilitates real-time detection and protection. So there are three things that are part of our DNA. We've got speed, scale, and relevance. So search enables all these things to happen. So when your SOC analyst is looking for a particular information, he should be able to find that information in a real time. And then again, once something is able to be found that quickly, we should be able to take action. So that's what is a search problem. Now, summarizing what Elastic Security is all about. First is prevention and collection. I think the topic of the webinar is from endpoint forward, right? Endpoint to security. So we have got endpoint and we have got a SIM platform. So together we call it the limitless XDR platform. So when we talk about prevention and collection, so we have agents that are built to ingest data or built to ship data. At the same time, they also are used to provide protection. So we've got ransomware and malware prevention via machine learning and MBR. So, and we also provide memory threat protection. So that is something which is provided as a part of our data agent or Elastic agent. Then we've got post-execution prevention as well. And then we've got collection. Say, for example, kernel level host activity collection. So all that is available as a part of our endpoint. Again, I think our endpoint that we have today is built on top of a company that Elastic acquired called Endgame. Now, Endgame was a purpose-built endpoint for the US defense, and it was very, very well regarded in the defense industry in the US. Now we acquired that company and we have built our endpoint based on that. Then the second is how do we detect? So once we are able to do some prevention and data collection, how do we detect? So we have got a bunch of detections which are built and tested by Elastic researchers. We have about 800 odd rules that we provide, detection rules. At the same time, we provide a detection framework. For example, being able to do correlation, being able to do run ML models. So those detections are available. Then we've got advanced analytics. We have got a lot of visualizations. We provide, like, say, for example, a visualization for root cause analysis. Then we provide a complete platform to do threat hunting and triaging workflows. So that is something that we also provide. And again, so none of the SIM platforms or a visibility platform is complete without being able to integrate with threat intel feeds. So we've got a lot of threat intelligence integrations which are available out of the box. And eventually they're all deployed in fast and scalable search platform. We have our own schema, and again, they can be deployed on a variety of different models. So the data schema, the threat intel feeds, the ability to build detections, do correlations, do alerting. So that is something which is provided out of the box by Elastic. So there is nothing. So one more thing about Elastic Stack is we do not ship third-party software. Each and every piece of software is owned, and the IP is owned by Elastic. So that is a very, very good thing in my opinion. And eventually, once we are able to detect, how do we respond? Whether we are able to create workflows to do investigation and response, the answer is yes. We can take alerts of a variety of nature, whether it's an email alert or an SMS alert or Slack, or integrate with SOAR platforms or any other ticketing platforms like Jira, etc. So we've got, again, out of the box connectors. So if you are using, say, ServiceNow or Jira, you have connectors that are out of the box available. Eventually, we will have our own SOAR platform. Today, we do not provide an Elastic SOAR. We do not have that. But in the future, there are plans to build a SOAR platform. So you like that is the basic premise. And eventually, I think with Elastic Agent, we provide OS query. For example, if you want to detect or if you want to query an operating system quickly, so you can do it via Elastic Agent. So we have system metrics that we collect. We can query which process is running high on CPU and what have you. So between like Elastic Security goes from prevention and collection to detection to response. So that is something that we do end to end. The other thing that we have added in the last, say, year or so is Elastic Security Labs. So we've got 40 plus security researchers which are researching the global threat landscape and advanced threat tradecraft provide investigate. So once they detect that there is something going on, they provide detection and workflows and what have you. So they are the ones who are building those automated protections. So I talked about those 800 detection rules or protection rules. So these security researchers continuously work with the rest of the industry to build those. Now, what that happens is we are not asking our customers to go ahead and keep building their own rule sets. One thing about Elastic is that we release very, very quickly. So every 8 weeks, we release a new version. And when we release a new version, they come with a new set of rule sets as well. So there's a lot of speed that is there in our release cycles. So every 8 weeks, we are continuously releasing new features and new detection rules and what have you. Eventually, as I said, like with Elastic Security, we have got extended EDR or limitless EDR or limitless XDR. That is what we call it. So you get continuous monitoring, you get automated threat protection, you get investigation and response, and eventually the same platform can be used for threat hunting. In a lot of traditional SIM platforms, they are different. Threat hunting is a different platform, and being able to monitor and automate threat protection is a different platform. But with Elastic Security, they're all the same platform. And say, if I talk about continuous monitoring in a little bit more detail, for example, continuous monitoring, once you are able to integrate the ingest sources or the data sources, you can gain visibility. If you look at the screenshot on the right-hand side, you can see that there are a lot of events which are being detected. There are certain rules, which rules are fired, what is the count of those rules, what is trending. So all that are provided. And this is across all the different data sets. You can switch between, say, last 6-month view, last 1 month view, and what have you. If you want, then we can retain data for a long time. We've got flexible data retention policies. So in our tiered architecture. Again, as I said, the same platform can be leveraged for threat hunting. If you see this workflow, we can immediately switch from a detection to a threat hunting workflow. We can practically filter or run query rules on each and everything, starting from a port number to a host, to a particular event, to a particular file or a DLL or whatever has been invoked. We can do threat hunting on each of these. Then once we are able to detect something, how do we automate threat prevention? So we can thwart complex attacks with machine learning and behavior analytics. We can block malware and ransomware from every endpoint. And obviously, like once something is being detected, we have these open alerts. If you want to say deprovision a particular detection rule tomorrow, because maybe it is causing a few false positives. So all those are available in a very flexible way. Lastly, as I said, like once we are able to detect, there's investigation and response. So we have our own case management workflow that is there, but then that can also be integrated with a eventual SOAR or a ticketing management platform. This is to summarize. This is again something that Nausheen spoke about. We are a trusted solutions across a variety of industries and geographies. I think to give you a paddle, so these are the customers and these are the integration partners or the technology partners that we work with. So we've got out of the box integrations for pretty much everything that you see here. And we can also integrate with something that we do not have an existing integration already. So the good thing about Elastic is an open platform. It's a very API-centric platform. So we are an API-first company. So for example, tomorrow, if you have a particular new security vendor which is coming, or a very old security vendor who uses a lot of proprietary tool sets, so or proprietary formats, we can also build integrations out of the box, or we can have a community build it, or even like end customers can also go ahead and build these integrations by themselves. To summarize, what is the difference? I think, again, I just spoke about how we are open and integrate. And if you do not have existing integrations, our community can sometimes help build those integrations. We have a lot of native protections that I spoke about. The last slide was about native protections, detection rules, which reduce our time to detection, time to response, and so on. We have analyst workflows. We have that you can start with, analyst workflows or threat hunting workflows as well. We can have contextual insights. We can investigate and hunt with a limitless data store. When I say limitless data store, we can scale practically infinitely. And then we've got a story of security and observability, which means the Devsecops story that I was talking about. That is something that we have with Elastic, or we provide with Elastic. I think Elastic is one of the very few companies which have an observability plus security story. The parallel that I can think of is probably Splunk to an extent. That's about it. We do not have a lot of vendors at our size and scale who can provide that observability and security story. The next part is we have a different model. Our business model or our consumption model is very different. You can start small and slowly scale up. You don't know, a customer doesn't need to buy us upfront with say 10,000 EPS. They can start small and slowly when they add integrations, they figure out that they need to change certain things and expand to handle more data. So that is something that can happen in stages. Yeah, again, so don't just take our word for it. There are a few customer examples that I have. I think this is mostly a wide survey that we had across multiple Elastic customers. This was a survey done in Q1 of this year. I think with our platform, we can reduce employee productivity disruption. We can reduce cost through app and service consolidation. We can reduce risk by revenue disruption. And a lot of other facts and figures. Say, for example, false security alert, risk of data breach, risk of phishing scam. So we are reducing all of these by a significant margin. So, for example, this brings a very good TCO to the table. So the total cost of ownership that a company would have, given these numbers, would be significantly high. We have a lot of customer stories on our website. I can just to summarize a couple of them here. One is OmniSOC. That's a SOC platform, or they have an outsourced SOC practice for universities primarily. So they have a group of large US universities. The goal is to minimize their goal before they deployed Elastic was to minimize time to threat detection to mitigation, and then being able to search through large data sets. So solutions, so OmniSOC went ahead and deployed Elastic Stack, used the different software that we have. They use security alerting and machine learning. And eventually, they were able to reduce the time between detection to response. Right. Sorry. And the last one is about Emirates. I think that's Emirates NBD. It's a Dubai government-owned large bank with over 190 billion in assets. So they had lots of best-of-breed solution, which made, again, like data silos across the company, and the goal was to eliminate those data silos. Another goal was to ensure regulatory data retention and compliance, and the third was to eliminate the daily constraint a lot of bank developers face when dealing with legacy solutions. A lot of legacy solutions are very slow to react. When you fire a query, it takes like minutes or even like tens of minutes to get the data back. But with Elastic, it's real time. So they deployed Elastic Observability and Elastic Security, or Elastic SIEM, to be able to do take care of all those issues. So the results were they were able to address those customer-facing problems in minutes rather than in days, which was the case earlier. They were able to increase customer satisfaction by spending significantly less time, and eventually being able to detect both external and internal threats. And one to highlight on the last point, threats are not always external. There are also a lot of internal threats. Say, for example, a disgruntled employee or a particular machine in the network which is infected with ransomware or what have you. So that's about it from my side. I hope if people have any questions, please feel free to put them again on the Q&A box, and I'll reply to them offline while Pooja takes over at this stage. Yeah, thanks everyone. It was very nice talking to, very nice talking in a one-way manner so far. Yeah, I'll go on mute now and over to Pooja.
There is some question in chat box. Could you please check?
I will check. Yes,
yeah,
I'll check.
Sure. Okay.
I will check them offline and answer while Pooja is speaking, or do you want me to take them up now and respond? I'll answer them offline. Pooja, please take over.
Sure.
Now I would like to request our next presenter, Pooja Chauhan, to complete and continue the session. She is basically a commercial account leader, managerial, and Bangladesh as a territory beside several key states in India. And she has been with the Elastic for 4 years and has worked with customers across FSI, public sector, and digital natives. So now I would like to request Ms. Pooja to continue the session. Thanks, Pooja.
Yeah, thank you, Sibul. Thank you so much for taking the time out and listening to us. It's been a while. We are, talking about Elastic. So my main focus here would be to tell you that how we can partner together and how Elastic can be a partner to you when you decide to, start an evaluation or a POC, and that how Elastic can help you going forward. Next slide, please. Yeah, also I would like to kind of tell you about some recent developments which have happened with Elastic SIM. So we've been recognized in the Gartner Magic Quadrant in 2021 for SIM. We are still improving among the niche players. We have been recognized, and I'm hoping that soon we'll have another report where we have gone from one part to the other. We have a full report available, and you can go through it on our website. The links are mentioned in this presentation, and once we are done with the webinar, we'll share it with you. Next slide. Similarly, we've also been recognized in the Forrester Wave for our XDR solution, extended detection and response. The report is available. I will recommend you guys to check it out once you are done with this. Next slide. Similarly, for endpoint detection as well, we have been recognized, and you can see that we are almost at par with a lot of named companies. Yeah, so next slide, Nimesh. So I wanted to take this chance to tell you that how we can partner together. So as you know, as we have already mentioned, we have an account team, a solutions team, a partner team available for you to support you guys in your future endeavors with Elastic. So supported by our account team, our mission is to basically make sure that if you decide to evaluate Elastic and of course make a decision going forward with Elastic, then how we help you make that decision. So we'll start with so we usually how we engage is we start with the solution deep dive. We take you through our security offerings and the context and everything, and also understand what are your requirements and accordingly suggest desired outcomes. After that, we finalize the project, the architecture, our essays. Animesh and his team is going to work with you and make sure that we take you through our best practices, recommend an architecture design. Once we are done with that, there is a project proposal which is made, which is presented to you, and once you sign up on that, we do a contract review and everything. The project kickoff starts. This is the general way of working. I would also like to take you through our customer success group and the supporting functions which can, make this even more interesting. Next slide, Animesh. Okay, so now you can see that we have an ecosystem which is there, and we have a couple of support departments which are there, which can make sure that your onboarding experience with Elastic is better. So we have a customer success team, there is a training team, we have services, consultancy services, and support. So Elastic brings a full team that collaborates to help you achieve success with our platform. You have your account executive, your primary contact, who is the owner of the relationship, and of course there's a product team which is continuously driving innovation and new features for the platform. We also have a full complement of teams that are dedicated to ensure your long-term success with Elastic. So customer success brings absolute adoption, enablement, and satisfaction. We use data to closely partner with customers in managing Elastic in line with the best practices. The education team, the training team, and the innovation team is all about ensuring our customers, partners, and the community have the best of skills and information to be successful with Elastic. We provide a variety of immersive hands-on training formats to gain and certify skills, including role-based curriculums aligned to real-world job functions. Our professional services function is our hands-on team to help you deliver specific use cases and outcomes to your organization. So we have around more than 500 capable consultants, technical consultants, and they are spread across the globe, and they partner with you and make sure that they enable you by doing the long-term, enable you and set you up for long-term success. Our support, we have global coverage of support across 25 plus countries, where our business is spread across different geographies, and our SLA, we drive through all this is driven by SLAs. It's ticket-based support, and we have a 99% SLA adherence. And also, lastly, we have a rich network of partners, just like Aspire, and we are trying to get more on board almost every year, so that we can provide additional support and resources, which in case we are not able to, we could help you with that. Next slide, please. So Elastic Success Framework is basically oriented towards outcomes, and we use it to partner and with you, and during every stage of growth, every time, no matter how early or mature, that is engage, expand, and enhance other key foundations of our success framework. And we make sure that we are engaged early in your adoption of Elastic, expand your capabilities as you scale, and enhance your Elastic performance as you start to deploy multiple solutions with very large architectures and also different migrations. For example, you want to migrate from legacy to Elastic, or you want to migrate from on-prem to cloud. All of that is something which we are able to help you with. That's it for now. Any questions?
There is some question in the chat box. Could you please check and answer
so I
those?
think there is only one question, I believe. I hope you can hear me. I think why do we protect seamless access, or how we protect seamless access? So we've got so when we talk about I'm not sure if this person is still on the webinar, because he said he has to drop and he's in another meeting. But as I understand, I think there are two parts to it. If you are talking about how do we seamlessly access all data, then obviously we have one platform where we are able, once we solve the ingest. So the first problem first thing that we need to do while using Elastic or any other SIM platform, for example, is to be able to get all the data and then seamlessly being able to correlate the data. So we have got Elastic Common Schema, which is a schema to parse all the data in a particular format, so that seamless correlation is useful. What it can also mean is providing seamless or protecting seamless access. I think I'm not exactly sure what this is meant, but then we have got, say, SSO integration, right? So, for example, from a non-functional standpoint, we can restrict access to the data using SSO and roles and what have you. But again, the third part of the problem could be how do we protect a particular attacker to seamlessly move, have a seamless access. So I think this is a little bit more nuanced. So once he's able to log in, so building a particular detection framework or using a particular set of rules which are mapped to the right MITRE techniques and tactic would be useful. So I think so that's how I would answer this question. Yeah, so Hasibul, I think, that was the only question that I can see. I don't see anything else.
If anyone has any question, you can raise your hand so that we can give privilege to unmute. So you can raise hand and we can give privilege to talk. Anyone have any question? You can hand your raise so that we can give the access to unmute yourself. Or you can drop a message in the chat box if you have any query. I think no one have any question.
Sure. So Hasibul, in that case, I think we can conclude the webinar. From our side, from Elastic side, we thank you to all attendees and Hasibul and you and your team for making everything happen so seamlessly. We are here to make, as Neeraj mentioned, in the next 90 days, we're looking at, say, coming over to Bangladesh and maybe be able to meet customers and yourself and others. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what we will
sure.
look forward to, and we are
Sure.
looking forward to building on this partnership.
Yes, sure. Thanks. And thanks a lot, Elastic team, for joining the session and give a wonderful experience share with us. And I think our customers will be very helpful to head your session. And I think it was a great session overall. And thanks everyone to joining the session, and especially thanks to Elastic team to make this session so fruitful. Thanks everyone. So we can conclude the session now.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Allah Hafiz everyone.